but soon he will learn manners. I will torture his body so that his soul learns to be humble.
Okay, he know we just talking here, right? I mean, we just getting people interested in...
Cage against the machine.
Cage Cousins, we shouldn't have left you without something or a dope beat just a step or two.
The step two.
To step two.
Step two.
This is the premier podcast of mixed martial arts, wellness, hip-hop culture, urban nerds, comic books, and all sorts of jokes.
All sorts of jokes.
Cage
Mostly
Against
about
the
your
Machine,
mom.
the round zero. I am the SweetMBA. I am joined by, once again,
Adisa the Bishop, fool.
we've been meaning to do this for years. I'm so glad I see him every
It's a good
month.
time.
And as well, my co-founder.
Brane Damage.
Brain, bruh.
This is a very special podcast, near and dear to my heart, my family's heart. We are now talking about UFC 243, which is Robert Whittaker versus Israel Adesanya.
Adesanya.
Before we get really into it, what we do, we have to talk about our current events in the world of mixed martial arts.
Current events.
One of the first interesting ones, Stevens versus Rodriguez 2, booked for Boston.
Yeah.
I was kind of
I
asking.
love Boston.
I was pleasant. Why do you like Boston so
It's
much?
a great city, man.
Is it just because people fight on the street all the time? Or
It's
is it-
pretty rowdy.
Okay,
But then
yeah.
it's clean,
Yes.
right? So it's like hella wild, but then the streets are clean, and then
Fair.
yeah, I like Boston. And the food. Did you know that like how we have Mexicans in San Francisco,
Yes.
just as a big ass culture who hang out?
Yes.
That's how Boston has Brazilians.
Yes.
Some of the best Brazilian food you will ever have
That makes
is in
sense.
Boston.
Did not know
Shout
that.
out to Brian Coleman, man. You know what I mean? He took me to the, hey, what do they call it when they bring the meat around and you cut it off? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. The
Bruh.
Brazilian
you don't
steakhouse?
understand
Or no,
how
they got
that's
something else.
all over Boston.
Yeah,
but
the barbecue
so
thing.
good though.
Yes.
Right? With a Guaraná soda? Boy, shout out to Boston.
Nice.
That's part of growing up in the Bay Area. It's like it's like, you know, it's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's like, yeah, I started as this ethnicity, but culturally I'm actually this.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I'm African American, but I'm really a Chinese person inside.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this.
Always.
Now you reminded me of Chappelle again.
Yeah, no, my.
Shout out to Dave Chappelle, man.
Hey, that's all.
Inside.
That's all double D. Speaking of which, everything you see here, experience, is brought to you by our wonderful producer, DeShawn Davis at Dreamier.
DeShawn Davis
We were
dreaming
walking down
all
the,
day.
with the streets of Auckland, and he and my wife were like, "How do you find a great Chinese restaurant in every country that you're in?" And I was like, "Cause I'm the Black Chinaman." So some current events I'm very excited about: Rodriguez versus Stevens, because when the fight was happening last Saturday, I had to go to an event, and I was up in the hills of Los Gatos, and I couldn't get reception. And then I saw it was an eye poke. I was like, yes, because this fight needs to happen when I have reception. So thank you.
Right.
That's great. That was wonderful. I also saw, as of news today, which is really exciting, we have got Usman versus Covington booked for
Finally.
December 14th.
Covington,
Finally.
hey. I was in Berkeley the other day and saw a dude with a Cole Covington shirt, and I almost got at him. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm a human being, bro. He can wear that shirt.
Yes.
But I was hot, though.
Well,
I was hot because he was just walking around like he was hella dope. And I was like, do you even train, bro?
do you train UFC, bro?
I was like, you know what? Who cares, dog? Because he's going to feel stupid in that shirt after his boy gets his jaw dislocated. You know
I
what
felt
mean?
that same way. I have a homeboy who was like, yeah, I was walking on 4th Street and I saw a dude with a Proud Boy shirt. And I was like, we could do something about it. Or we could just let them be who they are.
Yeah.
And things will play out.
This is America.
This is America.
Cole Covington, man, he's going to get his jaw dislocated, bro. I can't
This is
wait.
very interesting what has happened in this short time of like his rant. Like he's lost his gym.
Is he really out? Because it looked like it was
He said
imminent.
He
but-
said he was on his way out. Apparently,
Funny because he clowned Robbie for the same exact reason.
exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been trying to warn y'all all 2 years. Every time you think this dude's a faker, he is the embodiment of everything that this country needed to see to change itself and fix
Wow.
itself. That dude.
Is America going to be great now?
No, not at all.
Do you hear that? That was the sound of the other unasked question. When was it before? By the way, hey, Clifford Harris, also known as T.I., you have no business arguing with Candace Harris or Candace Owens. You have
Come
no
on,
business.
man. He had to get at her, bro. She talks reckless.
She,
Did you hear her on Russell Brand?
well,
She
they-
was out of pocket.
but
And the
they
only
both-
reason Russell Brand didn't serve her is because he's not a black man. Because
But
if
they-
I would have been on that show, she would have got demolished.
So he's mad at her because she cooperates with the federal government.
It's deeper than that. You know that.
In the immortal words of Rockness Monster, or excuse me, Sean Price, C.I. pop-ish, same type of guns that T.I. got popped with.
Wow.
Candace ain't the only other person working for the federal government. Moving on.
Oh,
AC, help me out here. ADCC is happening this weekend.
Abu Dhabi Combat Club.
Why is that relevant? Because as we explained on the last podcast,
So
this is like the Super Bowl of jiu-jitsu.
it's not only is it the Super Bowl of jiu-jitsu, it's like these dudes, the Abu Dhabi Combat Club, created by the one and only great Sheikh Tanoon in Abu Dhabi, in Dubai, started flying people out in like 98. Top dudes from Sambo, American wrestling, jiu-jitsu, whatever. And he would just have them squab, and it was fantastic. And it's become a legacy. It's an honor to go to Abu Dhabi. And now Flow Grappling is going to be streaming that competition. They have a Brazilian by the name of Muhammad Ali going against Gordon Ryan. And that is going to be maniacal. Now,
they say don't trust a man with two first names, and you got two of those in that matchup.
you do.
Gordon Ryan is about that life.
Completely. And I
His
think Muhammad
book-
Ali is a savage. If anybody can do it, it can probably be Muhammad Ali, but Gordon Ryan is a beast in the zone with the best coach in the game right now, John Danaher.
From what country? That's right. Kia Ora. I also got to give Ryan credit because I was skeptical about his book, and I started reading it and doing the exercises. I got in the shower one day, looked at my core, and was like, "Hey,
Really?
yeah, Joe, yeah, no, yes."
I think Gordon Ryan
his
is like,
conditioning for grappling, that it works. Like you just get out, you're like, "Oh, I'm Captain America now."
listen, a lot of people don't like Gordon Ryan because he calls himself the king. He be wearing like Burger King crowns and stuff and capes and but you know what though?
He chokes people out.
He does so much work.
Yeah,
That like he reminds me of Muhammad Ali in the way that he's talking crazy, but he's training way harder than you think,
right, straight up.
And so that's the
Yeah,
deal.
he's a sav. Him and what's the other one? Gary Tonin. I'm just now catching up and learning all this. See,
Tonan's
see,
a
the more you
savage.
talk, the jujitsu,
See?
the more I learn.
Right.
the Terminator.
I'm figuring it out,
was
man.
great.
Thank you. What if the Terminator came back from the future to do futuristic jujitsu? Wouldn't that be scary? He's like, I'll be back to take your legs. Okay. BJ Penn was released from the UFC.
He was,
yesterday.
man.
Big surprise there, huh?
Thank you, Dana. Thank you.
But is it thank you though? Because now is Scott Coker gonna be like, yeah,
So I think really
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of. It's
come over here and finish your career with a couple wins.
I mean, it was already written in stone. His last name was Coker.
wow.
Damn it.
So here, man,
I
like-
walked directly into
You
that
handed
wall.
you paved
Yeah,
the
that was-
runway. You gave it all, and I have no choice.
Yeah.
Welcome, Cage Cousins. Good to see you. Come on in. We're doing this thing called a podcast.
Enjoy.
You might like it.
So BJ Penn used to live a few blocks away from me in San Jose.
Nice.
We both used to train at Half Gracie. Right around the time he left House, him and Alex Oxendine, shout out to Alex, opened up his garage, which was then called Legends. And we were training there. And I didn't train there a lot, but I trained there enough. And, I was around BJ and his brother JD a lot. And, to see BJ where he's at right now is pretty sad. But I think that, I forget, there's a rapper named One Below. He said something like, it doesn't matter if you hit the bottom as long as you bounce.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I don't know how BJ ended up where he's at, but I feel confident that he'll bounce back.
I think there's two comments about that. And I think the first one is BJ is just a war dog. And in his mind, he's supposed to die on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's very true.
The second piece about it, what I've always loved about BJ, especially when I would compete, whether it was battle rapping or whether it was in tournaments, you know, in the early no HB days. It's like, you look at that dude and he just didn't care what weight class. And I just appreciate it. I always, this guy's got 15 more pounds on me, but how's that any different than getting jumped in high school? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, whatever. Or this dude came with 10 dudes to the battle and I got me and 4 other guys. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm a Serbian.
that's true.
I always appreciate it. And so the challenge is how do you get that guy to look at the world differently when he's always like, well, you're closer to 50, BJ. You know, you shouldn't be fighting. Well, isn't that how I got here? It's the same with Anderson, right?
Right.
If J.K. Atkins was here, who we miss dearly, he'd probably tell me it's a terrible idea to have old men fighting and all that, but there's got to be some kind of masters league the way they do grappling.
Yeah.
I feel like his future will be in Abu Dhabi. I feel like his future will be in things like Abu Dhabi, Polaris Pro, EBI.
But he could be there right now.
And hopefully not bare knuckle boxing.
He could be there right. You know that's next. He could be there right now, but he's not because there's not cheering. He wants that. He wants the gladiator life.
But I think that there may be something going on within him that he needs to change before all of that will happen because his fans are there.
Yeah.
I like that you brought up that he could go to the jiu-jitsu stuff because these last few years where he's just been losing. I'm like, dude, why are you not going with the jiu-jitsu? Why are you trying to outbox these young studs that are outboxing?
Yeah.
I still am haunted by that time when, I forget who it was. Was it Yair or was it Rory where he's like crying and they're like interviewing him? He's like, I shouldn't be in here with these guys with all this energy. And I'm like, yeah, that reminds me of sparring, okay? Like, I get it. But don't say that in front of 40,000 people, bro. Don't get in there.
Right. Or think about that before you ever sign that contract to even.
Speaking of retirement.
Which they should have never even offered that fight.
They really shouldn't have. Speaking of retirement, I ran into a personal hero of mine the other night, and he told me that a little secret, and now the world knows that secret, which is we are going to get Daniel Cormier versus Miocic 3.
Nice.
All right, tell the truth, though, man. Is it going to be different, bro?
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you why. In my opinion, it's different. Daniel Cormier's body showed up. His mind wasn't there, and that's why a fight he was winning, he didn't know he was winning. The reason he didn't is because his father was dying of cancer. And having lost...
I keep forgetting that. I literally keep forgetting that.
But he comes from the same cloth as Dominic Cruz, where there's no excuses allowed. He's never going to say anything like that.
Right.
I lost. And also, he also has the honor code where he's not going to take anything away from Miocic.
Right.
That guy was the better man. I mean, as much as I really disliked Chael Sonnen, when he lost twice, he was always like, Anderson Silva is the better fighter. Period. He won tonight. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that is the honor code.
That's a wrestler's mind, too. Wrestlers make no excuses.
That's the honor code. So I think it'll be an interesting fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be the purest of both of them because we had Miocic coming off, the Ngannou fight where he did survive, but let's be real, Ngannou is one of the hardest punchers in this planet.
Yes.
And then he got knocked out in the first round. Then he got the year off to recover. Now you have DC, who was obviously not fully there, and now you're gonna get the purest of both Miocic and DC.
That's deep insight
it'll be
right there.
a fight that we will all enjoy no matter what the outcome is. And props to DC. I'm glad he put it out there. No matter what, I'm retiring. He said, even his wife said it. If you lose again, it was meant to be. If you win, you get to go out on top.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds.
That's beautiful stuff.
That's it. What is ironic and great is that we're going to take a little break. We're so happy you're here.
We are.
Thank you very much. Cage Against the Machine. Shout out to you there. We're going to have to pay some bills, and we'll be right back.
Peace.
We made it this far because of you, and we need more. If you tuned into Cage Against the Machine podcast via iTunes, we need you to act. Follow us on iTunes, rate us, comment, share with your friends, and post this podcast to your social media. Thank you.
And we are back.
Back again.
As you can see, Nas has his book of rhymes. I have my book of notes. Because I write things, notes. We're going to talk about a couple prelims, and then as usual, we'll jump into the main event and the main card, kind of really give it to you. One fight that I'm very excited about, Jamie Malarkey versus Brad Riddle. Why am I excited about this? Someone actually,
tell me?
someone named their last name Malarkey.
Right.
You ever had a teacher who told you
That's
that?
why you're a good fighter. If your last name is Malarkey, you
Malarkey.
can fight.
You'd be like, ma'am, I need to go to the bathroom. No, you don't. You just want to go out and hang around the girls. No, I need to use the bathroom. That's Malarkey.
Yeah.
Remember that?
You have to fight, bro.
And Jamie Malarkey is fighting Brad Quake Riddle. Now, can this be any more on the nose? Brad Quake Riddle fighting in Marvel Stadium?
That's tight.
You like that? I know. Incredible power, speed, and accuracy. He just got signed to UFC. You guys may not know this. The little homie from City Kickboxing trains with the rest of the squad there. Israel, Dan Hooker, and Alex Volkanovski, which got announced against Max Holloway. So you and I are going to have beef during that fight. So I'm going to give this one to the Quake by knockout.
Yeah.
What round?
By knockout.
Oh, third?
I didn't pick a round, but I just know Quake is 2-0. Malarkey's 8-2, but his last 2 fights were 2 that he got knocked out.
Yeah,
Interesting.
They're trying to feed him.
So he's kind of on a slump, you think?
Yeah. I think so.
By the way, shout out to Big Vic. Shout out to Big Vic. I see you out there. I appreciate you. You got bars for days.
What's up, player?
But I do want to let you know you're going to have to keep talking to me about this Dr. Sebi stuff because I ain't convinced. Okay.
I'm
so moving
hella
on.
convinced.
Well,
I'm
well,
with you.
That's why I brought him. He's woke. Me, on the other hand, I'm like,
I'm not woke.
was it acid?
Wow.
Or is it base? It's called chemistry from chemistry. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. What was your fight? This one is going to make me laugh. What was your prelim fight?
My fight was Makai Coconut Bombs Pitolo versus
Wait, hold on.
Harry Potter.
Is it
No,
coconut?
not Harry Potter. Sorry.
Is it coconut bombs with the S or a Z? Clarify.
Z.
Coconut
Z.
bombs.
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 And he drops those coconut bombs very well. 8 finishes, 5 of them being KOs.
Really?
And his last fight was on Contender Series where he had a body shot KO.
Yeah.
And Potter lost his last fight by body kick. So
Yeah.
I think this is set up perfectly.
This is what we call a cage.
Kanaka,
feeding.
please handle the business.
Yeah, we
Kanaka.
call this feeding. And this is a concept that Brane and I have where the powers that be at the UFC say, we like you. And it's nothing personal, but we want him to win, so we're going to put him up against this
We're
guy.
just gonna throw you in with
what
the
do you
mayhem.
throw? You throw body kicks? What did you lose to 3 times? Body kicks?
You should fight.
I'm going to put you all in the same room, see what happens.
Right.
We're trying to make some highlight footage.
But Potter does have quite a few finishes of his own, so
Yes.
it can't be slept on and overlooked. But
So our main card would be starting with Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington, but I'm just finding out from Brane that this fight was canceled. Holly Holm injured something.
Man, they haven't said what the injury is yet, but it's crazy that these why is this something that does not ever happen in boxing and it's just always happening in MMA?
I can answer this one, teacher.
Go ahead.
Oh, I can answer this one.
Sweet, sir.
Okay.
Sweet, sir.
I will take USADA for 400, sir.
What about before USADA?
Did you have the same amount of injuries?
Yes.
No, the data does not say that.
Oh.
The data does not say that. I told you.
Data.
No. Performance Institute. No. Does not say that. All right.
Can we also say that because you're training so many more different styles rather than just
It's not the styles, it's the
feet.
amount of time.
Move the feet.
It's not
I
that.
think
it's
it's
the amount
the
of time.
I think it's the
the double days.
intensity. It's the intensity.
It's the double days. It's you did jiu-jitsu in the morning and then you did wrestling at night, or you did kickboxing in the morning, then boxing. You're gonna get hurt. Fighting
Yeah, people get
fighting
burned
hurts.
out. A lot of times they don't rest enough.
That's the number one reason to do steroids. So you can recover.
That's right.
I got an injury in my hand on Monday.
doing steroids right
I
now.
take a
Pay
steroid
attention.
tomorrow. My hand doesn't hurt. That's what it does. It's recovery.
Right.
Doesn't make you well, some people make
It
them
can make
stronger.
you stronger.
Yeah. So a lot of it is that. That's why the steroids were so popular. It's like, yo, I can go in there and beast out for 6 days a week because I have the chemicals going.
And kids, just so you know, when I said I was doing steroids right now, I was just kidding.
Right.
And don't do steroids. And John Matuzak, look that guy up.
Okay.
Spell it.
Matuzak.
And look up John Cusack.
John
Say
Matejak, man,
anything.
he was one of the first fatalities from the roids.
Right.
Football guy, damn legend.
Right.
But like,
Speaking of, what about Mark Kerr? That documentary.
man, come on, why you gonna make me cry on the show, bro?
Yeah.
Mark Kerr, two R's, Kerr. Look up the Smashing Machine
Smashing Machine.
on
Such a
YouTube
good
if you want to learn about painkillers and steroids and why it's all bad. That's the dude.
So my guess is with the Holly Holm Raquel Pennington fight moved out, are we thinking Megan Anderson gets moved in there in that spot?
Possibly.
So let's talk about that
But-
fight real
but-
quick.
I'm a fan of Megan.
Considering there's a week, could they throw someone in against Pennington?
I think they throw somebody else in the beginning and they just move that fight because it's a name, right? And
Yeah.
Megan is Australian.
Right.
And I don't think, and she's fighting at 145, so she ain't gonna fight Pennington.
Yeah.
So Megan Anderson, what can I say about this? This hype train, chugga, has been running for 4 years ever since Isha came up here, swearing Megan Anderson would come to the UFC, beat Cyborg, destroy Holly Holm, unite the kingdoms, and become the Khaleesi.
That's right. She was supposed to.
She didn't do
all
none of
the
that.
above.
None of that happened.
None of it happened.
Most she done is won by a toe poke.
She did win by a toe poke.
You could
But
do
why
that
you
to the
think that
family
because of that-
dog.
But you acting like because that happened, she can't fight, and that's why I'm not happy with your whole tone.
But
right
when, but the people.
That's definitely
Okay,
not
here's
true.
my
She
tone.
definitely could fight.
Yes. Okay.
But
So
the hype
yes,
train
she is.
was a little bit premature.
The league she came from, yes, is great, but I still have this issue. I think like when you come out of Invicta and you go into UFC, the leap is so big.
It is a huge
It's
gap.
not like the LFA. It's not like the WEC. You know what I mean? The leap is so big when they come over, you see the difference in competition. So the minute Anderson saw her competition, Holly Holm, what did Holly Holm do? She took her down. Non-wrestling Holly Holm took you down. You are a kickboxer with no takedown defense yet. You need more time.
right.
We
But
don't
doesn't she have that
believe
time
you.
now?
You need more people. Mr. Sweet has had 5 cups of coffee today. Just all once at once. She is facing, I can't even say, you know jiu-jitsu. You know Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Don't ask me to say that. just
Zara
'cause I do
Farn
jiu-jitsu.
dos
That's not
Santos,
fair.
which is really interesting that she's named this because she got hands for days. She can box like Junior dos Santos.
For real, she got hands.
She got hands. She got really good footwork, and she trains at TMT.
So, do you think though that she has enough to stop Megan?
This is an interesting classic matchup. Boxing short person versus Muay Thai long person. If she gets inside, it's a quick night. If Megan stays on the outside, Dos Santos is going to get touched up.
Who has the better ground game? Ooh. We don't have a sense of Megan on the ground for real, am I right?
Last name is Dos Santos.
I'm just saying.
Am I being a stereotypical person to think that every Brazilian
not
can do
necessarily,
jiu-jitsu?
but it would be
Shout
hard.
out to Eli. Where's the jujitsu?
Yeah, see,
Shout out to Eli because the minute I said Daniel Cormier, he's probably texting me right now with some meme.
That's why he didn't want to fight Jones.
That's why.
jiu-jitsu dog.
Daniel Cormier deserves to be thrown into the 7 seas. God, he hates Cormier.
A lot of people do though.
But he loves John Jones.
A lot
Right.
of people do.
But I hate John Jones.
I don't like that he enjoys cocaine, but that man can fight.
That's
Right,
all he
right,
can do.
right.
He need to fight some demons in himself. Who do you think is winning, Dos Santos or Anderson?
I think this is kind of like what we said with the Callan Porter and Makai Pitolo. I feel like this is a feeder fight, and they're like
Who's getting
you
fed
said,
to who,
she
though?
got the hype train. She came in.
They want her to win.
lost 2 out of 3. They want her back on that
want
hype
her
train.
back.
They know, especially being on Australia, and she's.
But remember, she gave them hella grief too. When
Did
she
she?
came in, she was doing all this contract stuff. I don't want this fight. I don't want
Really?
that fight. I'm not making weight. Maybe they're trying to clean her out.
could
a
be.
thought.
Could
Just a
be.
thought. They got the
but
contender centers.
I
don't
wanna
think-
know
I don't
who-
think
I
they
wanna
would've
know who her
booked her in
jiu-jitsu coach is.
Australia to do that. though.
Australia's got a lot of good jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
I'll
they
tell you
do.
that right now. Australia's got a lot of
Yeah,
good
they
jiu-jitsu.
do. Yeah.
She might come out ripping off legs. We don't know.
Megan, forgot your jacket.
Our next fight on this main card is Luke Jamu. I know I'm saying that wrong. Versus Diego Lima. Why does that last name sound familiar? I'll come back to you. Jamu is another killer from City Kickboxing. He's changed his name from the Jedi to the Juggernaut. So a little bit less peace, a little bit more. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. He is traditionally a boxer, but has added like 9 years of Taekwondo training to really give him that kickboxing style. Lima, on the other hand, is the brother of the Bellator champ.
I saw one of his fights.
The Phenom.
I saw one of his fights. He's actually dope to me.
Yeah, no, the Lima brothers are scary, and if you saw what Lima has done recently,
yeah, Diego's first stint in the UFC did not go well. Then he did that Ultimate Fighter, and you could tell he just learned a lot from the beatings that he took in his first stint.
Yeah, I just having watched his brother and watching the training sort of like ethic and etiquette of Lima, you know, this guy worries me, and that's not to say that Jumo's like training is not there. I just haven't seen enough of it. I haven't seen enough fights, enough things. If I do research, there's not enough tape for me to watch. The problem is the Limas have this penchant for finding the weakness and transitions between the striking and grappling. And that's where they catch people. Right. Was it Michael Chandler? Or was that Pitbull who did it?
It probably was Pitbull. Lima's 170.
Lima, who did Lima do it? Lima did it Larkin, my boy Larkin, Lorenz.
I think he beat Lorenz once, but he also just knocked out Venom Page, MVP.
Right. Yes.
And he had
Perfect example.
He had to take his belt back, or I think he wants to take the belt back from Roy McDonald.
Right.
Who just kind of just wrestled him the first fight. And, you know.
So I suspect for me it's Lima by decision. What say you two?
That's exactly what I had on my picks.
Okay.
I'm choosing Lima to win by strikes.
Yeah, that makes sense. Moving on to our next fight, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Spivak.
Tuivasa's he puts hands on people.
Crowd favorite.
Yeah.
Crowd
I'm going
fan
for Tai.
favorite.
I'm going for Tai off top.
Loved by the Aussie crowd. I'm not sure that Australians actually want to see him fight. I think that they like seeing him drink beer out of his shoe.
Yeah, the shoey is.
I'm not sure that they want him to win fights.
Well, he has to win for him
buy
to
a house.
He has to win for him to do the shoeys. So
Right.
Not
He's
that
gonna
he has
win,
to,
though.
But no, he does. Not
that's when
true.
they'll-
Not true. He does them in the
that's when
audience.
they'll highlight it.
He does them in the audience when he's chilling. So they just want to. I think
What
they
do we
kind of
know
want to
about
see a clown.
Sergey though?
But that's what I'm saying. That's when they'll highlight it as he's
So
walking
here's
back.
the thing about Sergey. He's he calls himself a polar bear, which kind of reminds me of my least favorite scenes in Blood In, Blood Out.
Wow.
As it
But
turns
he's
out,
got the name of a Russian assassin.
yeah.
Basta
Oh,
chon
I'm
chon.
so glad you bring that up. Guess where he's from?
Where is he from?
The Ukraine.
Yeah.
Been a little quiet in our news lately.
So, yeah, these
so
guys
if this-
are both heavy hitters. I
if
think
this-
somebody's going to sleep in this fight.
If it ends in no contest, I don't think anybody here will be surprised that there's controversy around Ukraine.
Dude, those dudes are gonna thug out. That's gonna be a great fight.
I don't, you know, do you remember?
be.
Have you seen Ty's last fight?
He lost his last two.
Right, he sucks against wrestlers.
Oh,
Right.
what do we know
I
about
love him, but
Sergey's-
he's
what do we
like
know about Sergey's ground
he's
game,
like
though?
Mark Hunt 2.0
He does have 5
with less.
submissions and 4 KOs.
Yeah,
Whereas Ty has 7 KOs and 8 wins. So
Right.
hopefully it stays standing. Somebody gets knocked out and we get to see
I would
some
prefer that
shootings.
in the first round.
yeah. All right. We now move on to our co-main event. Am I correct?
Yep.
This is just a very exciting fight for me.
Right.
Al Iaquinta versus Dan the Hangman Hooker. Al's done very well for himself, and you have to walk through his story.
Yeah.
Going all the way through Ultimate Fighter,
Right.
losing in the finale to Michael Chiesa, right?
And that was the only season they did it live.
Right. And for good reason, right?
Right.
He's had a bunch of wins in his division. And then somewhere in there, he caught that beef with Dana.
Yeah.
I don't know what that was about, but he was like feeling like he wasn't getting the right fights, even though he was pulling out of a lot of fights and he was getting injured. Somewhere in the narrative, he was beefing with Dana, which is weird to me because his coach is Matt Serra. And I don't think there's anybody who's more on the inside with Dana
Right.
than Matt
That's
Serra.
real.
Right? So that was really weird to
Which
me.
is probably why he didn't get cut. And got
Right.
to-
Woo! Now
got
that's
cut.
true talk right there.
You know, Sarah's back there like, come on.
It was
Give me
actually
that shit.
it was actually pretty funny when he used to tweet stuff like, you know, if you want to make money, sell a house. Don't fight in the UFC, right?
Right.
And then he got himself back in the blessings by after the notorious event of Dollygate. See what I did? Notorious Dollygate.
I like that.
He came back and saved the card, fought against Habib, and he had that hilarious quote, I don't want to fight Habib for 5 rounds, right? So you got to give me a mill. So he came in on that, and he's had some interesting fights recently. Kevin Lee, right? On the other hand, you have Dan Hangman Hooker, who I got to say, to me, I have a special place in my heart when my beloved New Zealand wife asked me to find fighters who actually trained and were born in New Zealand. I went and did my homework. I met, and I saw Dan Hooker. I was really impressed. I started doing research on city kickboxing, and I've just been really impressed. Dan has just put together win after win after win after finish.
Dan Hooker's
He is a
dangerous,
killer.
bro.
Yeah.
18 wins, 17 finishes.
Dude,
And
he's dangerous.
And
10
really,
knockouts.
his only moment of pause was maybe against Edson Barbosa, who might be the best kickboxer in all of MMA, right? I remember watching him knock out James Vick and look into the camera and say, I demand to be on this card with my brother Israel. And we even joked about it on here. And so to see his ability to turn that around, I'm really excited.
Impressive.
This is going to be a war.
Somebody's
This is
getting
going to
hurt,
be,
bro.
yes, somebody going to get hurt.
Get for real hurt.
This is not, because this is like, Al is not going to quit, and Hooker is a disgusting sniper.
He's going to go after that
This
fool,
is
bro.
going to be
He ain't
very
playing,
exciting.
bro. I guarantee you, when Dan Hooker, when they close that cage, bro,
Yeah.
he's
Yep.
going after that fool.
Yeah.
And don't get it twisted. Just because he's a knockout artist, he still has 7 submissions as well.
Bro, he's yes.
He's very well rounded.
Yes, and maybe going out of bounds to say maybe the top net taker at that gym.
Really?
And I may
Something to
not
look
be able,
for.
I shouldn't say anything else. Let's put it that way. My thing,
So
Hooker
you don't
by
think
decision.
you don't think Al's going to have anything for him on the ground?
Al's definitely got something for him.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. Like,
We're
the
just saying
resume,
don't
right?
count him out.
Matt Serra, Henzo Gracie, Danaher, right? I'm just saying, Hooker, I think people have this assumption, oh, you're from New Zealand. You don't know. No, Hooker's ground game is phenomenal. All that, I'll give you a hint. All of the reversals we love Israel for, where do you think he learned them?
Okay.
And he admittedly says that. Yeah,
Okay.
Hooker is disgusting.
Okay.
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 Your takes on it.
I got Hooker by TKO.
Yeah.
3rd round.
Yeah.
Okay, that was simple. Hey, Cage Cousins out there on the live, all you guys listening to the podcast, watching us, we appreciate you. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Hey, this year we'd really like to get up to 500 YouTube subscribers.
Would you?
Would you do it? Just takes a second. Go to Cage Against. Just like our channel. We'd love you for it. Thank you. We're going to go take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk about the main event.
Main event, boy.
Very excited. Thank you very much.
This is Tyson Griffin.
Sean Bunch.
Myron the Hitman Smith.
Jordan the Juggernaut Powell.
Mauricio Alonso. Shout out to Cage Against the Machine, MMA Podcast, MMA Fantasy League for you. You Google them right now, because I'm about to Google them.
We are back.
Back again.
Cage Against the Machine, round 0. We are here to talk about the event we're all looking forward to and have been for a year. UFC 243 gives us Robert the Reaper Whittaker versus Israel the Stylebender Adesanya. There's so much going on here. Let me start first with this, which is really amazing, and you may have noticed my tribute to my dear other country. One of the things that's impressive and the promise that I made to all my Kiwi family is, if you do the history of the UFC since 2005.
5.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
Brane, 2005? And what I call it, Brane and I used to stay up to the middle of the night to watch Pride fights and try to tape things and do all that. And then we'd watch UFC religiously together.
Yeah,
And
man.
it was really when
Those were
Dana
great
got involved
times.
and put it back on Spike, like we would be calling each other like, yo, this is great. The Ultimate Fighter was bringing stuff back. It was really inspirational for us. And there became a moment, I remember, when I called this fool and I was like, hey, did you just see this Brazilian dude knock out Chris Lieben? And Brane was like, yeah, this Anderson guy. I was like, that guy is on bullet time.
Crazy.
And ever since then, I felt like the 185 division has been the defining characteristic of the greatness of the UFC.
Hey, that's fair. That's
the
fair.
middleweight.
That's fair.
And even
That's
if you look
fair.
at that in boxing, middleweights are the ones to watch. You have accuracy, you have speed, you have power. So I always promised,
deep.
and for a whole year, I promised my Kiwi family, what we have been clear for 12 months, the two greatest fighters of 2019 are both Kiwis. One, Kiwi by birthright. Has a bloodline of a Maori.
Dang.
Or a Morty.
Yeah.
Okay? The other one grew up in New Zealand. Came there from Nigeria,
Shout out to my Nigerian family. You know what it is.
right? Spent time in Rotorua, right? Which was sort of like their Lake Tahoe, for lack of a better term. Or maybe Fresno. Maybe that's a better analogy.
Okay.
And then moved to Auckland after really, and went there just, I have taken Taekwondo. I've done Muay Thai. I want to be a world champion.
He's a savage, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish I could call him that. Very high refined civilization. So this is a very interesting. So we are here. Let's really step it in. This is now time for the main event of the evening. I'm not going to do the other stuff because I have a longer little story for you guys to think about. This is a little bit too on the nose.
Go ahead.
A Maori training out of Australia fighting a Nigerian raised in New Zealand.
That's beautiful.
How do you figure this out? How do you call this?
That's crazy.
So let's frame this real quick. And it's still on the nose too. What stadium are they fighting at?
That I don't know.
Marvel.
Crazy.
Like literally Marvel Stadium. Okay. And we'll talk later about which Avenger-esque characters they would be.
Right.
We, as fight fans, never got the fight we always wanted. What was the UFC fight of modern day that you always wanted and you never got?
Silver versus GSP.
Thank you, brother. Were you reading my notes?
No.
You just we begged for it.
That's just the one.
We
that, like,
never got it. We'll never get it. But on October 5th, we are going to get GSP 2.0 versus Anderson Silva 2.0.
Deep.
Okay?
I like that analogy.
Deep.
How do we know this? Whittaker has incredibly strong jiu-jitsu skills that he puts into his grappling. He's added an exceptional amount of takedowns from his wrestling. And he's got really good takedown defense to match, as we saw against Yoel Romero.
Tight.
Right.
He has hands of stone, with his strongest attribute is his tight technical boxing, which has earned him the moniker of Bob and Knuckles.
Okay.
Yeah.
One day, we should put him in a room with the RZA, and we could say, Bobby Knuckles, meet Bobby Steels.
I can't do that.
Thank you very much. To boot, he adds in his
Bobby.
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 Nice doo-doo sticks. He adds in his Hapkido-based striking, which duels as kick checks and attacks. If you want to know what that looks like, kind of think about
Hapkido, though, is suspect as a whole style.
styles are suspect. Whole other discussion.
that
That's a
unfair.
Bishop Chronicle.
That was unfair.
We'll tune in. Styles are suspect.
Bishop Chronicles is my podcast. You can subscribe
Yes.
on iTunes.
We'll go on there and talk about this.
Mixcloud and Spotify.
I like it on Spotify. Did I ever tell you my theory on styles? No. Okay, this is why I love mixed martial arts.
Go.
Take your favorite style,
Favorite.
add, and let's put a number of techniques that are in there.
Right.
Right? Let's pick a number of how many techniques that style has.
Okay. 1,000. Let's just say 1,000.
Okay.
just
Let's
to
say that less than 20% of it is actually applicable to MMA.
Right.
That's why it's mixed martial arts.
I get
right?
it. I get it.
Right?
I'm just saying,
I dare you
nobody
to
has come
slip a
in
boxing
with
punch.
Hapkido as a background and done well, I don't think. Who do we know?
This guy, he has a Hapkido background and he's got a belt. He beat Yoel Romero twice. But where
was the Hapkido in his victories?
Great. So when he does the Dutch blocks, right?
Okay.
Catch, kick back in, that's where you see it, right?
That's
He's
fair.
able,
I'll-
that technique works.
I like that you said he just applies certain aspects.
Oh,
of
you
it
have to.
everything else because
I had this long.
was never a wrestler, but he applied the takedown to his.
I'm so glad you said.
His
And look,
karate
Yes.
timing,
Yeah, and his
and that's why
Russian
he's
yes,
so good
and
at it.
he would take those three styles. They would talk to each other. He would take the Superman jab, right?
Right.
He would take his shoot, and he would take what you were pointing
karate
at, right?
timing.
The karate, the not even a Shotokan, the
Kyokushin.
Kyokushin, and that's why he was able to blitz like
Shout
that.
out to Peter Goldman.
Shout out.
He's
Speaking
a
of-
Kyokushin fighter.
Speaking of GSP, he's able to. What makes Whittaker nasty is he's able to throw that same power the way GSP threw a jab, the Superman jab, the high kick, and the
Right.
takedown. So he uses that blitz.
That blueprint.
out of, yeah. Adesanya, in contrast, has proven multiple times, 3 times, that style bending is real. By the way, he combines his jiu-jitsu sweeps, okay, his wrestling reversals, and his rollbacks, which is some Tai Chi stuff that comes out of his style, right? Again, I'm not going to tell you that learning Tai Chi is going to make you the best fighter, but there are techniques and training that comes out of Tai Chi.
There's aspects of all styles
that you will
are
see
valuable.
that.
That's fair.
And a lot of people don't know that a lot of the stuff that happens in New Zealand, the kickboxing is based in Chinese Kung Fu.
Okay.
And that,
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Sancho. Yeah. And then, in fact, Israel spent hella fights in China. Hella fights.
Okay.
Also, people, if I haven't mentioned this before, Israel has been a training partner of both Vitor Belfort when he was at the Black Zillions and Rumble Johnson. That's how he got
Who's also coming back.
Wow. Yes. So he's good with Rashad. Adesanya has an excellent gauge of range. The only other person I think I comparably understands that is John Jones, given his long height. And he uses these clever traps by putting his hands down, keeping his chin up, reminding us of Anderson Silva. You think he's open, you go for it. Ooh,
he's not.
You just got 5 of them,
You're about
right?
to get
Take
hurt.
that home.
You're about to get hurt.
Right. Here you go. Here's some
Wait,
ranch dressing for
why
your
is my
your
lip
wings.
bleeding now?
Right.
Real.
And he can generate lightning fast techniques with the same velocity as Anderson's knees. That same blitz we've been talking about. Bah! It just happens in a moment. So how does this play out? It's really hard for me to give a strategy for either of them because I'm such huge fans.
Of both.
Robert
Right.
Whittaker was the first fighter of current UFC that I could latch on to post Mark Hunt and say, hey, family, this is my guy.
Right.
Adesanya, on the other hand, and City Kickboxing has so many hands into everything I love about martial arts, whether it's allowing my broken handicap self to train with them,
Right.
or training amazing people like CSA Pleasanton's own Jenna Fabian is a student of Eugene
CSA
Berryman.
Savage.
Yeah, so they're all family to me. It's very emotional. It's very hard for me to go, okay. So how do you get to the goal? To take the belt and unify the titles, Adesanya has to set a pace. He's the interim champion. He has to take the belt. So he has to set a pace. He has to land 5 strikes for every one of Whittaker's.
Especially because Whittaker has that much more power to the lightning quick.
You knew where I was
And
going.
he's got to
with
hurt
this.
him early. He's got to hurt him early.
Adesanya.
No, yeah, he may not even have to go for injury because he has to, as he pointed out, pick him apart, right?
Right.
The risk in that with those flurries is that Whittaker can change the momentum on the right counter, and he's done that so well, especially against opponents who outsize him. Sorry, Derek. This is a fact.
Right.
Okay. Now to defend the belt and unify the titles, Whittaker has to not only survive, and all he has to do is basically survive in front of the Anzac judges.
Right. He doesn't.
Right.
Just, yeah.
Right? Because you have, short of getting knocked out, he just, one could argue that keeping the belt through a bunch of split decisions ain't gonna do it. Okay?
Hey, can I be real honest though?
Yes.
I think Israel Adesanya's ground game is super suspect.
I'm glad you said this.
I think it's super suspect, and I noticed that in one of his last fights. I forgot what I saw, but just as a jiu-jitsu brown belt, I was like, ooh, that's dangerous, bro. You're gonna get caught slipping. I remember that. And so I think that we have to, on his feet, he is explosive and dangerous and all of that. But I think if Robert Whittaker can put him on the ground and secure a side control, it might end in a way that we don't expect.
Right. But I also agree with what you're saying.
I know what you're talking about, by the way.
Robert's such a warrior that he would only go to that if he's really getting picked
If
apart.
he's feeling like it's not working.
He's like,
I was just about to
but
say.
if
That's
it's
fair.
a close fight on the feet, the way they've been talking, it's gonna
Stay there.
It's a
If
ego
Whittaker
thing.
starts
I gotta
taking-
beat you.
Yeah,
I gotta
your own game.
I gotta show you what's happening.
If Whittaker starts taking a lot of damage, right, he's going to start pushing Adesanya back to the cage.
Yeah.
He's going to ask for, try to get him to retreat. And then by landing these power shots and keep trying to take him down. This is going to set up counters. What you're speaking to is when he went for Gastelum and tried to do the choke to take him down.
It looks so sloppy, bro.
Yes.
And I was like, are you seriously in a cage not knowing right now? Now, anybody can slip. in a competition, and anybody can have like a brain fart and be like, what the hell am I doing or whatever, and blow it. But I was shocked because of his general skill that those gaping holes were there, because that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to make excuses, but I could see, I don't think it's a lack of development. I think that dude fought 6 times in 1 year.
Yeah.
And I think striking has one, as you know, has one level of cardio.
Yep.
Then you start grappling with somebody, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that burrito,
Yeah,
right? Here's the other hole that we want to think about. I don't believe anybody survives 2 fights with Yoel Romero and remains unscathed.
I agree.
There are fights that radically change people's ability to fight. There is very few
Because you just
people.
become like war-torn.
I have yet to. Yes.
War-torn.
Can somebody name for me somebody who has fought Yoel Romero, with the exception of Paulo Costo, and is doing well afterwards?
All right. I got to go back to, I hate to use this terminology because it's so disrespectful,
Yeah.
but it's pimp terminology. It's called mileage on a hoe.
Yes. Right. And what he's
Mileage on a
referring
hoe
to
means-
is how long has the garden instrument been drawn? Okay.
What I'm saying is, like, everybody's got this level of fights in them, right?
Yes.
And then after that point, right,
Yes.
after a certain amount of mileage, a certain amount of damage, a certain
Yes.
amount of trauma,
Yes.
you're just not going to be
The same.
who you were.
You don't have the same
and
chin.
So the question is, how close are, Israel seems so young, like he's got this long future, right? But like, I'm not going to say that he hasn't been tested. He is a savage. It would be ludicrous to say that he hasn't been tested. But I will still say that he hasn't been fully vetted. It's going to be a minute. It's going to be a few more fights. And this is one of them, for sure.
Right.
That's
and
interesting.
the cycle of life, because we started out talking about BJ, and BJ is the perfect example of that. At a certain point after that Frankie fight, he was never, ever the same.
True. And he also went through how many fights, right? And he also was not taking care of himself.
Edgar, yeah.
Right. And as you said, fighting Lyoto at heavyweight. You know what I mean?
And also doing a lot of shit outside the ring that he shouldn't have been doing.
But
It
I
wasn't
will,
exactly
I
amount
will
long.
give you a devil's advocate. There's a pro and a con to this. With those 2 Romero fights, those been his last 2 fights, and that was in the last 30 months.
Bro.
So he's had time to recover, and also there is the thing called ring rust.
And also, he pulled out of
Well
his last
stated.
fight with a hernia.
Right.
He's
and that's what
allegedly.
opened the door, because he was supposed to defend against Kelvin.
He's
and
allegedly
that
right. He's
opened the
allegedly
door for
cleared the
Israel
fight. Doesn't know.
to step in, and
Right.
he was like, opportunity there, let me take it.
Right. And so this also is somebody who had a history of pulling out of fights because of this injury. Right?
Yeah.
So this is a pattern with Whittaker, as much as I love him. He's the only champion I have in my fantasy league.
Right.
But I gotta know, and I think Izzy's been paying attention to that.
Yep.
He said he's been competing in wrestling and jiu-jitsu to make sure that he doesn't
Just slip.
get too rusty.
Right. Sure.
So-
Okay. Then that's
But
fair.
that also is not full hardcore competition. Like,
Right.
that's not 100%.
But based on,
so.
But
I mean, Nate Diaz just showed, hey, sometimes ring rust is body recovery,
And
and I
you know
come back
what?
and 3-piece pet us up.
Yep.
one of the things that's interesting about jiu-jitsu specifically in the cage, is that it's about not so much whether one fighter knows jiu-jitsu or the other fighter knows jiu-jitsu. It's about them being able to impose their jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So while he was making all those mistakes, he may have a jiu-jitsu strength that we haven't had an opportunity to see.
Yes.
Right? So he blew that aspect.
Very
Okay, well,
interesting.
his guillotine and his triangle, like, what the heck was that? Right? Okay, fine. But he may have an arm lock, or he may
Right.
have, like, a leg lock that we just haven't seen been right. And so if you can impose your jiu-jitsu, it's not jiu-jitsu at all, it's your jiu-jitsu. Can you impose your jiu-jitsu on your opponent before they get opened up to their jiu-jitsu?
I heard
That's
that.
a big part of it. Big part.
One last thing I would say here's the hint. He trains with Alex Volkanovski, and if you look at what Alex just did to Jose Aldo, one of the things is Aldo at 145 maybe had some of the best counter wrestling you've ever seen. He made like people like Chad Mendez look ineffectual.
Right.
And Alex got in there and Jose Aldo could not trigger anything. So
Hella deep.
There's a way of actually striking that makes it impossible for grapplers that they're starting to do. So
And that's been what I feel like MMA has been working toward.
Yes.
Since Royce Gracie first. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
And it's taken
Right,
so
right.
much time. And that kind of timing and stuff for grapplers, it's an impossible feat because you can't get that. It's so hard for grapplers to become fluid because they just don't have the hours in.
Cain Velasquez had it against his second fight against Junior Dos Santos. He had it for that fight.
You're right.
But it is a hard flow state to get to. So for me, I actually believe the new champion will be Israel Adesanya by split decision, which most haters will go, oh my God, here you go, winning by another split decision. But no matter who wins on October 5th, the real winner is
The fans.
Kiora. I love you all, people. This was always a pleasure. We're gonna
Man, thank you for having me, dog.
We got to have him every time. We're gonna get on the Bishop Chronicles. We figured out we figured out some places in the East Bay for us to take.
Yeah, we were
go
talking
in
about
there
that. We're gonna do a
just
show.
shoot one.
We're gonna do a show.
Okay.
Nice.
I am the SweetMBA. I'm joined by,
Brane Damage.
as well as
Adisa the Bishop. Thank y'all.
everything we do here, edited, recorded, produced, mastered by Dream Air Productions, DeShawn Davis. Look him up if you need that work.
Booyah.
Go ahead, like, subscribe, share. We are on Spotify. We are on Anchor. We are on Google Music. We are on Apple Music. We are on YouTube. Become a part of the movement. We will change it for you. Without further ado, chill.